at a little after 10. And this is the opportunity for public comment. Is there any public comment? People would like to speak? Hearing none, I think that I will hand it over to Rob to do a little thank you to Don, who's been an absolutely marvelous chairman for the past few years.
I'm not gonna let this go to my head.
Don's officially in the back of the room now as a meeting
I sat
participant.
back here on purpose.
How many years were you chair?
It's hard to tell. Well, no, I was chair for the Litchfield Hills Council elected officials, LECO. And my term ran out, and then we combined with Northwest Council of Governments. So I got an extra year in there. I think it's either 5 or 7, probably 7 years,
7 years.
all told between the two organizations. Because I had a hiatus there, and then I stepped back there when Bruce Adams didn't run again. So
Maybe it's 10. Either way, obviously, we're all new. We haven't been around for your tenure, but but thank you and appreciation to all those years, leading really the region. And that's really all I have to say. To stick around for a minute after the meeting, and I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything.
I think I said it all. He was a marvelous chairman, did a fantastic job. I've enjoyed working with you immensely.
I tell people about my town, and now this is the COG. These are great places to live, great places to work. People want to do the right thing. This COG has always been terrific because you look at the political world out there, but you look around this table, you had no idea what anybody's politics was, because they want to just do the right thing for their town and the region. That makes it a lot easier when you have that kind of environment. So Henry, I'm sure you'll do a great job.
Well, we'll see.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let me keep going with the.
I will say one more thing, and Denise will appreciate this. So Dan Jeremy reached out to Leo Paul about golf, which isn't going to work out. Leo suggested it was time for me to retire.
All right. You want me to just go ahead and start with the
Yes,
executive
go ahead, Rob.
report? And just keep it quick this month. We'll have more exciting things to talk about as we move through the year, the fiscal year as we're ramping up here. As you'll notice, there's still some construction going on. It seems like it's never ending. It may never end. But on that note, I did have contact with the PAC group. Mike Chris has been working with them as well, and Bob Valentine from the NHCOG days is actually representing the Goshen Housing Trust, which owns the buildings around here. So we're actually working towards trying to get a revised cost estimate, because the last one was last year with pandemic logistical issues. We'll see where we're at as far as the expansion of this office. Again, for those who may not know, we're planning on increasing this conference room maybe about 30% or so by moving it into some of the unfinished space this way. The hallway would actually move down right through this kitchenette area, and then this area that I'm sitting in here would be reconverted into three office spaces for potential future expansion. So and some of the storage units over here would kind of just flip flop this way into the hallway that's existing over there. So now would be the time to strike, because they are refinishing that space. Before they actually lease it out anywhere else, it'd be great to get a foot in the door with that extra space. We did look at other locations in the area, general Torrington, Litchfield area, and there really wasn't anything that kind of really fit us that would require some serious modifications. And when you start looking at the pros and cons, where we are right now, especially with the central location, is a pretty good spot to be in. So it's kind of the update on that. Hopefully I'll have more for you if the numbers are consistent, then I'll speak with the chair and we'll see where we need to go as far as any modifications of previous approvals. But I would really hope that this work would be started or completed before our next meeting in September. It is possible, but just matters on how and what we have to do from a process standpoint. So that's the story on that. As far as staffing responsibilities, we're still staffing up. Casey's here today with me. Emily's on a pre-scheduled vacation. Sarah's dealing with a family matter this week, so it's just us two right now, but I'm on vacation next week, and then when we get back, we actually have created kind of a 2-day informal retreat with the staff. We're gonna actually just set up shop in here in this room, and we'll periodically check emails and return phone calls, but we're gonna try and focus on what we need to do throughout the course of the fiscal year, as far as monthly timelines, the major projects, deadlines, and also make sure that we all got on the same page on what each of our responsibilities are. Because as you know, it's not often that an organization basically reinvents itself and has to start over with no institutional knowledge. And that's what we're going through right now. So we see it as a blank slate, and we have our work plan put together. We just need to kind of put it in action, make sure that staff are doing what we need to do to get done here. Now, as far as staff primary responsibilities, Casey's going to really handle a lot of the interaction with transportation between the municipalities and the COG, and any project really that has any interaction between those two entities. The DOT unfortunately has a policy that anybody who leaves the DOT service, which Casey had 35 long years at DOT, no matter where they go, has to basically not be in a position of influence or direct communication with the DOT for a period of 1 year, which would be next year, April 2nd, I believe it is. So therefore, I'm going to continue to be the point person between the COG and the DOT during that period of time. Now, obviously that was designed for engineers who may go off into private sector work, and it makes complete sense. I don't think it makes any sense for someone going to another government agency that works in partnership with them, but we have to play by the rules. So, but again, anything transportation related, you're going to want to contact Casey directly. And as far as economic development activities, things with the SEDS, the Comprehensive Economic Development Plan, that's going to be Emily. That would be your contact with all things economic development related, and most of the land use type stuff. If there's referrals and things like that need to be done to the COG, you would want to send those to Emily as well too. So we're all kind of, in a sense, working as a team. We have our primary responsibility areas. I'm helping out with the administration with Sarah, and the finances and things like that at this point in time, along with everything else. So everybody's working with each other. We're all working on some of the same things at the same time, but we have our primary responsibility areas. And that's my philosophy of not having silos. I'd rather have a team rather than silos, because silos, when someone's out for some determined amount of time, those silos break down and we have issues keeping continuity. So that's just been my philosophy for a long, long time. So keeping it short, that's really the update we have here right now as far as staffing and the COG expansion. We have some other things on the agenda we'll talk about as far as programs that are coming from the state level, and there are certainly a lot of grant opportunities that are starting to make themselves available right now. We're going to stay in constant contact as we can with those.
So I have one quick question. Vis-a-vis the PAC new estimate coming through. Should we have a motion to allow the executive committee, if you want to get that done in a relatively fast time, to be able to make a decision if the bid is acceptable or not?
I mean, do we want to, usually the executive committee makes authorizations or endorsements to the full board. But I agree with you, because we don't want to have a situation where we have to hold a special meeting.
Right, and I'm just wondering about that, because a lot of people are going to be away in August, myself, for a prime example.
Yeah.
And if you want to get that done before the September meeting, and you get something that's 10 or 15% higher,
We budgeted for it in the past.
right?
I had a number in mind that was approved. So if it's within, like you said, 10 or 15%, I would think the executive committee could be authorized to approve it. Or
What is the budget?
I can grab the file, but I think it's around 120.
that's what I remember. Somewhere
It's close to that.
Yeah.
I just think that if that's your goal, that you'd want to have the authority to make that decision with the executive committee in the interim. And if it's more than that, you'll probably have to delay it a bit.
15,000 more.
Yeah, 15, 18
Same thing as everybody.
So maybe authorize the executive committee to,
I think Don would be a great one to make this motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
so let's just make sure we got the wording right.
that the executive committee is authorized to okay an increase up to 15% in the cost of the new construction
Over the previous,
over the previous
Authorization.
Budgeted.
of what was previously budgeted. Whatever that amount might be.
so we need a second and
I'll second.
Greg seconded it.
Okay, can all those that are in favor so do by pushing your up thumb or your down thumb on your machine?
we got a couple.
Okay, we have hands up too.
And you opposed.
Are there any opposed? I see no opposition. Are there any abstentions? I see none there, so then it is approved unanimously. Okay. Is that it, Rob?
That would be it. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Next on our list, it's an introduction to Daniel Davis for, who's going to give a stand up, and introduce himself.
Thank you, Henry. So I'm Daniel Davis. Many of you in the room have met me already and have met with me. The folks that are on Zoom, I believe I've met most of them as well. Hey Denise, apologize for all the emails, but I have to do what I have to do. So as you all know, my predecessor, Steve Silver, is retired. I'm your new Eversource CR rep for the Northwest Hills area. So it feels good to be here, my first meeting in person. Rob, thanks for having me, allowing me a few moments. I'm pretty sure most of you also know my colleague Hetty Ayers and have worked with her. Also brought along Jay Samuels, he's a new CR to the team representing the eastern region of the state. I believe, you all know, the role, what I do. Like I said, I've met with many, if not all of you already. So just glad to be here in person. Feel free to ask any questions, but like I said, we've all already met and we've done the process to get to know each other very well. So thanks for the opportunity to come and the opportunity to speak.
I just have one question if I could.
Sure.
Just a general overview of exactly what it's the same role as Steve Silver had.
Yep, same exact
Maybe
role.
because we do have some new members. I'm not sure if
Okay,
they're
yeah.
familiar with
What
the role of the position.
What we do, sure. So community relations specialist, I'm your blue sky day like today where there aren't any storms. I'm pretty much your Eversource representative. If you have any questions, Chris and I were just talking about trees, close overhanging on poles, I'm your person for that. If there are light outages, I'm your point person for that, give you your ETR estimated time of restoration, issues like that. Now, if we do have an escalated event, in the company of powers that be designated a 1-to-1, level 4 or greater, I would then remove that kind of 1-to-1 touch point, and then your community liaison would be your 1-to-1. I'd be responsible for another community, but as long as there's not a designated level 4 or greater event, I'd be your day-to-day Eversource point person. And even if there is an event, if you want to contact me and have a question, that's okay, since we already have the most of us, develop that relationship. In a nutshell, that's what the position entails. Eddie could probably give a better example since she's been doing it a little bit longer. But as I understand it, and as a very elementary description of the role, that's what we do. That's what I'm here for.
Any questions? All right, thanks, Daniel.
No, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Next one.
Happy to be here.
Casey, you're on the next.
I wanted to just be able to kind of introduce, and Rob's going to be bringing it up on the screen here. Just a kind of like a brief PowerPoint of a couple slides to give you an overview of this new transportation rural improvement program, which the department is currently formulating the guidelines. So we'll have them finalized to share with everyone coming this September, what they're anticipating. So I put together a brief PowerPoint just to again, and then I can also share the PowerPoint with you all after the meeting adjourns.
Okay, so that should,
Okay.
everybody should be able to see that.
Mhm.
I do a quarter feature, I have to turn off. Okay, good to go.
Yep, next slide.
Yeah, I gotta get that. It's on this one.
So basically, I wanted to be able to provide like a brief overview of the program and funding, and this TRIPS program is specifically for construction activities only. So what they're considering as far as match would be then the local design development. It is a state funded program, and from my understanding is that they're using the heavy truck user fees to actually fund this program. And it's going to be up to 15 million for the course of 3 years. There is going to be one single solicitation, and the minimum projects are going to be about 300,000. There is no cap, so it should be something that we'd like to be able to capitalize on. So if you go to the next slide. And then just kind of gives you a brief overview as far as a visual. There's about 11 towns, if I can recall, that actually can qualify at 100%, which as far as within the ranking criteria, which will allow a higher probability of it being funded. That being said, we also are the largest COG. On the next slide, you'll see that out of all the council of governments, the Northwest Hills actually can submit up to 10 applications. So we do have the largest opportunity to be able to take advantage of this program. Next slide. And so here's just kind of a brief overview. I mean, again, these are subject to maybe change ever so slightly, but from what we can gather just right now, the eligible projects are roadway improvements and signal and bridge improvements, on and off road bicycle facilities, sidewalks, and multi-use trails. The non-eligible projects, though, are the project design, as I said earlier, any preliminary design would be considered in kind, right-of-way acquisitions, relocation of utilities, and the recreational trails that, as I stated on the slide, serve a limited group or actually have like gravel or things like that that cannot accommodate the general public. And then as far as the COG's responsibility, we will be notifying you as far as the grant opportunity. We'll be doing then the solicitation, working with you and kind of putting together your proposal package, doing the screening as far as then the ranking. And I wanted to be able to share with you the criteria that as far as the maximum points allowed for each of those subsections so that we can actually go over it if need be. Again, having some time. They're looking at, and I'll move on to the next slide, which would be probably February 2023 when we would actually be awarding them the actual application. So we do have some time, and I know that there's a lot of projects, and speaking with some of you that we've gone out to be able to meet and greet, that you might have some ideas that are kind of brewing as far as proposed projects. And as we evolve with the guidelines, there might be some other broader criteria as far as what eligible projects might be able to be considered under this program. But I wanted to be able to go, I know that some folks are familiar with the LOTSIP program. And so the difference between, you know, the TRIP and the LOTSIP is that the TRIP is available for all the towns, you know, with the exception of Torrington and Winchester. They are eligible, but the fact is that they don't have 100% rural. Their ranking is a little bit lower on the scale. It is a competitive grant, and it is a capped program. So as far as once you're awarded, any type of overruns will be the responsibility of that municipality. And as far as then with the LOTSIP, which I think some of you are pretty much familiar with, only the selected towns of Burlington, Litchfield, Torrington, and Winchester actually qualify. That program actually does cover rights of way costs, and that is not a competitive process. So as I mentioned, the formal guidelines are currently being developed. So if you have any questions or considering projects that you anticipate you'd like to be able to, take advantage of this funding for, please reach out to me because we're going to be in, working in cooperation with the DOT to kind of formalize then the guidelines. And we're in a nice opportunity to provide comment since we are one of the largest, applicants that we can submit. So, and as far as the matches, I said earlier, in kind, then the local design work that you might have already done, and the construction is 100% funded. And that's about it. I wanted to be able to quickly summarize, but as we move forward, if you have, I know like within Morris, and I think in Burlington, they have some proposed projects they were talking about, and I think maybe, even with your Rotary or some speeding issues on your Main Street. If that's something that you want to be able to entertain to capitalize on this, and you've already done some preliminary engineering, please feel free to reach out to me. We'll work with you to kind of make it happen. So.
Yeah, and I can just, if I can add 2 cents
Sure.
on that, my experience, going through this is a program that basically is tailored for the rural COGs, basically Northeast and us Northwest. And it really benefits us because we just have more rural towns. If I go back to that map is just to indicate this. So it really is something that's really, we are the most best positioned COG region to capitalize on this. And I think that's why they value our feedback and the review period through this month. And I think that with potentially 10 projects per year, right, or per funding year, I think that we have an opportunity to really jump at this. So I don't know if towns have even conceptual ideas that they have in kind of in the queue, so to speak. But now would be the time to dust those things off, because once we do get to a solicitation period, the more we can kind of throw at the program as early as possible, the better off we're going to be. I think that if it's successful, it's going to continue. If it's not successful, then they may reevaluate it. So I think that we need to have these conversations with each municipality. They may have projects that may be potentially a candidate for this program, and get on top of that as soon as we possibly can. So it sounds like we'll be able to do more with this than we would otherwise with the Rural Collector SDP program, and certainly the lots that where not everybody qualifies. So this is a great opportunity that's kind of just landing right in front of us. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Is there a link on the state website for this, or?
I don't think so, because it's all in preliminary discussion right now. All the COGs are having a chance to review this, because they do have a number, there's at least one town in each COG that potentially qualifies in one way or the other. So they're in basically the comment review period. And so I don't think they've published anything formally on the website.
Provide maybe a draft overview, which is maybe a couple pages, again, keeping in mind that it's subject to change. So, but if you have any questions, or like I said, think of any proposed projects, please don't hesitate.
So how deeply do you have to go into the design before the project?
They basically said not as in-depth as the other program areas.
You don't need engineered design plans.
You know,
But if you have a concept and you have at least have done some kind of financial calculations on that concept, that would be pretty much the threshold.
okay, so the threshold is it's light.
Back of the
Yes.
envelope type thing, maybe a little bit
Right.
more thought process in the financials, but you don't need design plans in any way.
So if you wanted to if you have a very bad intersection, which we have one in our town, kind of coupling that with a preliminary cost estimate from an engineering company, just to see kind of thing. Coupling that with sidewalks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then even looking at capacity, there's links that are actually within the LATSIP application that you can actually utilize for that project, be able to not reinvent the wheel, but be able to just have that do its analysis for you to help supportive documentation for that project.
Okay,
And I think once we get to the point at the end of July, when they, all the comment period hopefully is concluded by then, and they have a chance to basically revise and formalize the program. I think at that point in time, we can share that, which will be a little self-explanatory. It's, the way it's written up is pretty clear. It's almost in the same vein as LOTSIP, so it makes sense.
well, and we don't qualify for,
Well, if you haven't worked with LOTSIP, you wouldn't know, but
Yeah.
that's actually a well-received program by all the COGs. It seems to work very well and smooth for both the state and from DOT and the COG. So, but we can, I'm sure once we get to that point, we can share that guidance basically, which will help us. And when we will have a road supervisors meeting in September, I believe, and that's probably good timing, that we probably will have an agenda item to discuss that for the road supervisors. So you don't necessarily have to communicate that, through you to your the public works directors and highway supervisors. So we'll try to keep the word out as
Okay.
far as wide as we can.
thank you.
But now's the time to contact us with any idea that you have. So it would be nice to actually run potentially a beta project through the whole system in order to kind of see if we can work out any of the bugs.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody else? Okay, hearing none, let's go on to the update on the broadband, which is Emily, who is not here, so I assume you're gonna.
Well, yeah, we would have taken it off the agenda. But unfortunately it stayed on the agenda before we knew Emily was gonna be out all day.
So do you
But
want to table it?
we could, or if Don has anything he might want to add, about our
I'll give a
meetings.
quick summary. Henry and I and Kim Maxwell have been meeting. We're trying to get Maria Horn involved, but she hasn't been available so far. The intention is in September, we're gonna, as a small working group, the three of us are gonna try to reach out to the towns who might be interested or might have a need for the extension of fiber optic into their community. Frontier is doing some fiber optic installation throughout the region, obviously, Litchfield, I think Torrance, and a number of other towns. Their cable providers switching over. But in any case, we're gonna try to step up the effort in an effort to put together a consortium of towns to go to the state to apply for that federal or state money, so that the towns who want to invest, because they're not getting service from the big companies, from the Frontiers of the world, will be able to do something that moves the ball forward. I think the view that Henry says it well, better than I do, or in general, this is a once in a generation, once in a lifetime, once in a decade opportunity, because there's a lot of money out there and it's going to be hotly contested. And unless we can come together as a group of towns, it's going to be almost impossible for us to qualify. If Colebrook or Barkhamsted or Norfolk apply individually versus 8 or 10 towns. And the threshold, at least from talking to Frontier, and I think we've heard that from other companies, they tend to need about 10,000 homes basically as a break-even point for them to consider investing. Then the problem is how close together are the homes, et cetera. So you'll hear more from Henry and I and Kim Maxwell.
I don't think that the answer is that being a contiguous group of towns is not as important to them as the number of towns involved. It gives us a little more political power, and quite frankly, there are 169 towns in the state, and they're not gonna negotiate individually with us. And I think Kevin made that clear, and the other people made that pretty clear in their comments to us in the few meetings we've had with, and I'm talking about Kevin Passaccia. I can't speak for him, but that was the impression that I got, that they want to negotiate regionally, not severally. And so I think that we can put together a coalition of 10,000 homes in the area. It's a very rural area. It's never going to be served by companies willfully without some governmental help. There's over $200 million that we estimate is going to be given to the state once they determine the unserved number in here. And because we are a high cost area, we do have some priorities. So we should be thinking about this very, very seriously. And for some towns, they're only getting part of their town served.
Right.
Only the high density portions of their town. Other towns are gonna be luckier. So it's just something interesting to look at. It's not that we have no plan about how to do it. We have a lot of ideas of how to do it, but a lot of it's going to be through negotiation with the state if we get to that point. And I think we can. Okay.
And just for reference, so for those who sat through the meeting that we had a couple weeks ago where Shutesbury, Massachusetts presented, they did with state help, a town-owned utility, and they paid off their bonds in 6 or 7 years. They're actually lowering their rate per month for their folks who have signed up for the internet that's provided through the town. And I think they dropped it down to like $50 or $60.
$60, 75 to 60.
And you know, when you look at Charter or whoever your town is served by, they never lower the cost. Month by month, it goes up $2, $5, $10, whatever. So that's encouraging. I will tell you that for Hampstead, we have a study going with Surtex, who's a company that does small towns. And we have roughly 1,600 homes spaced out over 45 square miles, et cetera. If we were a standalone internet provider, that's a $6 million investment, which we're not going to do. And probably none of your towns would put up that kind of money because it's controversial whether a town should be in that business or not. But if the state pays for half of it, we get an interested party like Frontier to come in, maybe then the town bonding is much more affordable and you can pay it off like Shutesbury did. So there's a lot of unknowns there that we're exploring right now. But in the fall, we're hoping between Henry and I and Kim to see how many towns we can interest in, at least considering forming a coalition, interlocal agreements, quasi-public, whatever you want to call it, to go to the state with and say, look, we have these 10,000 homes, they cover these 6 or 8 or 10 communities who are not going to be served by the big guys, and see where we can get to.
I think there would be some interest in the towns that are going to be served by the big guys, because just like you said, their price won't come down. Optimum or whoever it is, Altice, they won't lower the price for internet, even if they switch over to fiber. Frontier, I heard good things about their service and price, but I think the competition, if a town could provide it, would be beneficial. Like I would be interested for Morris, even though Altice is going to be serving us with fiber.
We'll be on your doorstep.
Mhm. Any questions? Okay. Keep it right on schedule. Is John Fields on the line? Is it John?
Yes, sir. We're here. Thank you, sir.
Hey, John.
Good
You're
morning. So real quick, Demis, just like many other state agencies, is going through a little bit of a transition program right now. We lost a substantial number of folks that have been around for a little while. So we're actually looking to replace or refill those positions. And then there's also been some restructuring of the organization a little bit by the DC, just in an effort to better utilize and be better efficient at doing our work. So there'll be more to follow. You'll hear the new positions being filled and such, so, and new assignments and new organizations. So there'll be more to follow on that, but we're going through that transition right now. Grant wise, we're actually working on, EMPG. Henry works with each one of your finance folks to, make sure that, they're getting their EMPG funding, though that becomes monotonous at times. It's a federal grant, so a lot of information needed, and it seems like it's redundant from time to time. We try to do our best to make it as efficient and effective for you guys to get your money as possible. Also, on that same token, Our public assistance folks are working still on reimbursements, for COVID, for Ida, for Henri. There's a lot of money coming into the state and going directly to your municipalities in regards to reimbursements for, some of those storms, and then also for the COVID side of things. I think COVID right now, we're over $500 million that have come back to the state between the municipalities, the nonprofits, and the state agencies. So there's a lot of money coming back from FEMA into the state. Our school safety and security working group, the regional working group, continues to meet on a regular basis, sharing info and networking. Your school safety and security folks have been actually this actual, I'll call it a network or working group, has really taken off, and everybody's sharing information. We have a ton of information flowing back and forth. We're receiving a lot of the drill logs that were required for your schools as of July 1st. So we've received a lot of those. We'll continue to work on receiving those. Excuse me. The new standards are being, I think the new, I'll call them new standards, but the statutes, have been modified a little bit for the school safety and security. So we're reviewing those now. In the middle of the month, there'll be some updates coming out for your schools in regards to the template and stuff like that. So we're working with the schools. We've actually created a pretty good bond with our school people now. So that's working out really well. We're also in the process. We had a meeting yesterday. There's as you all probably are familiar, we have a task force, Urban Search and Rescue Task Force 1 for the state of Connecticut, which we consider USAR. They've been pretty much a standalone type response group for your emergency services folks. And what we're trying to do is establish, and we're going to call it an ESF 9 USAR working group, to not only have USAR involved in it, but after some recent incidents, we've recognized the fact that there's more than just USAR that need to be involved in some of these large scale rescues, searches, stuff like that. And one in particular that comes to light is aviation. We've started to utilize helicopters, airplanes, and we do have a ton of those assets. We just did a crosswalk and showed off some of those assets, but there's a working group that's being created to try to, excuse me, coordinate and collaborate all those efforts. I'm working with the ESF chairs of our regional emergency planning team on communications. We're buying a ton of radios and communication equipment with our Homeland Security grant funds through the region. And I want to just make sure everybody's on the same page and it's organized, collaborated, because we are spending, or you guys are spending, a ton of money on these communication efforts. So, excuse me. We are working on some excuse me. Oh, all right. So we're working on CEO training. ESF 7 group met the other day. And I know Paul Gibb is working on trying to get TEEX up here for some more CEO training in the fall. So that's in the works. Public Works Group, they're working on their mutual aid plans. Again, a lot of great efforts happening to try to help each other out in times of need and stuff like that. So a lot of those efforts going on. So ESF 3, our Public Works folks, have been working on this effort and continue to work on the effort. They're starting to get a lot of communication equipment also, so they will be able to communicate with a lot of us during, when needed. Our long-term recovery, ESF 14 folks, we do have a steering committee that was developed during COVID. Right now, we're looking at the status of that and where we should be with that. We have a large group of nonprofit folks, private entity, municipal folks that are involved in the long-term recovery process of that. FEMA's been working directly with some of your municipalities on some of those efforts and some of the things that were identified as issues needing to be worked on. So the steering committee has really been in a sort of a status quo where they're going to be. So right now we're evaluating that status to see where we're going to go in the future and where we need to be in the future. So we did hold some debris management training for some of your public works folks and other folks That was held not last week, week before. And then just recently, just yesterday, we are looking to get together with DPH right now and start to do some planning with the monkeypox. The state of Connecticut has started to get some cases of monkeypox, so we're trying to stay ahead of that. And we're going to work with DPH and try to plan ahead so we can stay ahead of the curve, so to speak. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about it, but again, those numbers have started to rise, not substantially, but started to rise a little bit. So we're going to start working on some of the planning for that. So I think that's all I have, sir, unless there are any questions.
Are there any questions?
Yeah. Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
out here, so, COVID test kits, do we still have a supply of those?
That's a great question. I can hook you up with the right people. We probably could get some of those. I think DPH was having some of those stored in their warehouse. So if you need those, please just let me know and I'll work to get them for you.
It seems like having an influx of people coming in, asking for them all of a sudden.
Okay, yeah, just send me an email and I'll hook you up with the right people.
John, I'm gonna follow, it's Jean, I'm gonna follow up with you. I have given out since Monday, I gave out 30 kits.
Okay.
And so we blew through what we had left.
Yeah, DPH is controlling all that now, so I'll just hook you guys up with the right people and you can talk to them.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Okay, the municipal forum informational sharing. We're gonna go through this town by town.
Well, however you want to do it. I mean, I guess
Why
it's
don't we
been done
do it by
differently.
town by town? Or is there anything, I'll put it to you this way, is there anything critical that somebody would like to comment on, which would probably be more appropriate rather than going through town by town?
You know, starting here.
I have a question for Rob.
Sure.
Salt bids?
Yeah, I just, okay, so a 2-year contract is what we previously had, and I guess it runs to the end of August or whatever, but in that contract, there is a provision to extend the contract if both parties are mutually agreeable and and the price increase doesn't exceed 5%. Reaching out to Morton, which is our #1 vendor out of that group, their prices have increased 10 to 11%. So I responded back to them to see if they would bring it down, sharpen their pencil, so to speak, and they won't. So they're looking forward to the new bid package. So that bid package went out yesterday to all our vendors. It's a 2-week turnaround time, so I think it's the 27th at 2 o'clock. The bids are due here. And that'll be a whole new pricing scheme. And at that point in time, I'll be able to send out all the information to the road supervisors, and I can copy the CEOs if you'd like as well too.
Yeah, please.
And then, and at that point in time, as you know, you can choose which vendor you want to work with, depending, at that point in time becomes between the municipality and the vendor. We just provide basically the competitive cooperative pipe pricing. So that's where we stand with that right now. So I know that there's been some questions from a couple of the road supervisors asking, what the status is, and we had to go back out again. So that's the update on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments?
We did have one more catch basin cleaner. Are we down one? We have 2 in the region. One's down, or?
Should be back up.
I think
If you're referring to the ones over by us, that's back up.
Okay.
That was a recent repair that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we had a few repairs come through here recently, and I think there's some apparatus that needs 10 new tires. I think custodial ownership's in Goshen. I think Garrett.
Yeah.
I forgot which piece that was.
Yeah, I got a couple.
Yeah.
So,
Done.
since I don't know how to say no to things, I'm now in 2 working groups. One is a regional school working group that CCM and Cost has put together. So you should be seeing, your school superintendents and other boards of ed people will be seeing a questionnaire from this working group as to things you would like to see happen for regional schools. And it can range from how special ed is handled to 5-year rolling averages for school population, you know, when you look at how you allocate costs or how your boards vote. So look for that and please respond, because the more data we have, the more leverage we have to go to the state legislature and say, look, here's the regional schools in our area and here's what they're looking for. So that'll come out sometime, I would guess, in the next month or so. So please pay attention to that. And I'm also on the legislative working group on solid waste, since I have such a history with trash. But in any case, if you have any thoughts on how the state should fix their solid waste problem, you know, I'm sure there will be some input requested from the COG or from the towns, but the legislative group is made up of a whole host of people from deep in the legislature and Mira and some of the private haulers or solid waste plant operators, et cetera. So look for requests for information on those, and the more input we can get, again, the more leverage we have with the legislature. Like I said, I don't know how to say no. I should know how, but by now, but I don't.
It's a hard lesson to learn,
Yes.
hence I'm here. Okay, any other comments?
I have a question. This is Denise. Does the COG get involved in the consortium with CCM for electric rates? Is that something that the towns that are here in the COG, have you negotiated? Are you part of that consortium?
We are not.
Torrington is.
Torrington is. Are you, I know ours is expiring at the end of this year, but I've been told the rates are not favorable to tie in with, I think it's Titan that's doing it this year. Are you looking outside of that, or is there another option?
We used
No.
to
I know for Torrington hasn't, we haven't dived into that yet.
Okay.
But now that you bring it up, certainly I'm going to reach out to our facilities director and see if we can pull together a quick meeting to review it.
Okay, yeah, it's gonna go way up
Yeah.
from what we had, so.
We used to be part of the CCM consortium, and a couple of years ago, we signed on with Constellation.
Mhm.
We just renewed through 24 at what I thought was reasonable rates considering what's happening in the energy world.
Mhm.
And there's a broker that we started dealing with who seems to know his stuff, and so we just renewed. But we used to be part of CCM, and this seemed to be a better deal for us.
Okay, great.
Denise, Heartland works with the Board of Education, and we kind of piggyback onto their work. They have their own consortium, so we work off of that. You ought to check onto that because I think that's regional. I think.
Okay. I'll
Good
ask.
luck.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments?
Just from Jean, our Public Works is looking to possibly purchase a replacement mower, and they're looking to possibly go electric. Has anybody else started that adventure into electric fleet vehicles at all?
We just put a bid out for an electric forklift. That's it for Litchfield.
Okay. I'll let folks know how it comes out. They're expensive, but they're very quiet, which is pretty great. And we've got a minor rooster problem that is sort of getting a lot of Facebook time, and the people who are complaining have said that, quote, a lot of towns around in the northwest corner have either bans on roosters or owning roosters, and or roosters as part of a noise ordinance. Anybody who's got an example that they could email over, or
I'd give my right arm for a rooster problem, Gene.
oh, we should someday all get together and put together a book of short stories and we could all retire.
The cat expert just jumped in our meeting today in town of Manchester.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, sorry, I'm late, everybody.
Roosters and cats. No, if I could add just a quick comment, that's a popular zoning regulation actually in some of the more populated areas is the allowance for chickens and the prohibition on roosters. Most towns do prohibit roosters, but certainly if you want to allow roosters, if you want to even have a regulation on that, I don't know how you would have a noise ordinance for roosters. That would be noise ordinances are just not fun to deal with to begin with.
Yeah, we don't have one. And so nobody in the room has a noise ordinance about roosters or a prohibition on roosters. I just want to get the facts put forward instead of the fiction drama. And
I killed the noisiest rooster I had because he never stopped crowing. So that's one solution to the problem, but it won't work for everybody.
That was your rooster.
yeah, we had a friend who needed to get rid of about 20 chickens. And he said, I'll give them all to you for free, except you just have to take one rooster because I have 7. And we thought, okay, like how bad could it be? It wasn't even the crowing that was the problem. It was this humongous rooster attacking both of our young children at the time. And he attacked our daughter one too many times on the trampoline. And I went to an ambulance call and came back. And the kids came out telling me all about how they had started to cook some rooster stew, which you can't make rooster stew, just so everybody knows. Well, thanks for that. So my last just comment is that our Board of Ed came to us with a proposal that also was supported by the region 1 and Lisa Carter, and our Board of Ed president came to our Board of Selectmen meeting last night proposing a collaboration between the school and the town to hire or request a second state trooper for a school resource officer. So we're going to the Board of Finance next week on that, and then it will go to a town vote likely. So just wanted to let folks know that.
Gene, if I could comment on that, we have a town constable because we have a resident state trooper, and he is our constable, the school resource officer. And it's a retired Torrington police officer. He's excellent, and he's a lot cheaper than having a state trooper.
Yeah.
So you might want to look into that also. Whichever town the school is operated in, can appoint a constable if they have a state trooper.
Yeah, we were told that it wouldn't be an SRO, it would be an SSO, and they're outfitted differently and they have different capabilities. But I'll check into that.
It's probably 3-to-1 cost difference.
Say that again.
Like a 3-to-1 cost difference.
Right. Thanks.
Well, since Gene brought up the ordinances, we're trying to adopt a new flag ordinance in Goshen. Everybody have seen the ink that I've been receiving in the paper. So our town attorney, first of all, I got Southington's flag ordinance from the mayor down there, and I sent it over to our town attorney, and he made some adjustments. So we're gonna have to bring it to a town vote on flags. Now we have a moratorium on flags, so you know what happened in Goshen with the pride flag. So it's opened a can of worms, and we're going to nip it in the butt really quick with flag words on town properties.
What's it gonna say?
Well, only the United States flag, state flag, and the town of Goshen flag can be flown on town properties. No rebel flags, no gay pride flags, no other flags. And it's what a mess for the last 3 weeks. Unbelievable. When you got Fox News coming in, sticking their camera in your face over a flag, quite embarrassing.
You contact Mark Shota down there. Yeah, town manager.
It's
That's where I came from.
Yeah, it's
It's a good town to approach because they have,
Yeah, they got good staff down there and they were so willing to help. It was unbelievable. But, I try to make, just because we have Camp Koch and it's the Boy Scout headquarters, you know what I mean? I try to get the Boy Scout flag stuck in the ordinance and our town attorney shut it down. You let one flag in, you're gonna let everybody else. So, we're getting back to that mower, Gene. Was that a roadside mower or is that just something for doing town properties?
It's for doing town properties.
Okay. Because we've been looking into the EV chargers for Goshen and the prices that we're getting from these contractors, that's only gonna cost us, $35,000 to $4,000 of town costs to put the EV chargers in our parking lot is BS. We're getting prices from $48,000 to $150,000. That's even with the $20,000 incentive from Eversource.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they might be put the rest in Goshen because we're not gonna spend that kind of money.
I've been finding the same as well.
Yeah,
So I've met
It's-
with a number of different, and it seems like everybody I talk to is going off.
yeah.
So I'm like you, probably very misled.
Very much like, yeah.
Yeah,
We were
we just had, I think, Century, we had a demo, not a demo, but a Zoom meeting with them. And they're putting some numbers together. I don't know what vendors you guys have heard from, but wow, that's insane.
Yeah. I think Mercury was the cheapest, around 48,000.
They're coming in next week.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe it was Mercury. I think it was Mercury. Sorry, not Century.
they were the cheapest so far. Everybody else was crazy.
And a lot of it's constructed right here in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And we were digging the trench with our town public works,
Right. So-
running the conduit over to the parking lot from the pole, and they still were whacking us. And I had lunch with Daniel Davis and Beth King from Eversource talking about all this, and Beth came up and gave us some numbers, and I think for a level 3 charger, it was like $150,000, and level 2 was 20,000 incentives. But the level 3s were crazy. They were $240,000 for, we're not spending that money. There's only like 3 electric cars in Goshen. I ain't spending that money. I was supposed to be courteous for the public when they're driving through, man. Forget them. Don't stop.
I mean, that's something we should mention that to Maria Horn. I mean, that's outrageous that these companies are, it sounds like just completely taking advantage.
They're taking advantage of somebody, Jane.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's running, what it's gonna cost us, town of Goshen. We just put a new pavilion down at Camp Koch, and it's around 850 feet of underground cable, and we got a quote of $7 grand from the electrician. I can't understand how running the wires to a EV charger is gonna cost so much money.
It's just crazy.
Greg LaCava, Town of Warren. Life's pretty good in Warren. The only couple of things I'm dealing with right now are really guardrail issues and bears. So not roosters, but bears. So as long as we're on the subject, we have a lot of bear issues with garbages and bears swimming in people's ponds that are not wanted, and doorbells and front porches, and I have to make myself the keeper of the bears.
what are your guardrail issues?
Guardrails around Lake Warmog. With
We've heard
special
about
groups,
that.
yeah, and I'm sure you have. And also around town, we have one system going in all over town, simplistic to replace and fix if need be. We only have 38 miles of roads, but some of them are very treacherous for wintertime and plowing, and it's really a safety issue. So just trying to head that one off.
Get back to that bear issue. I had a meeting with Maria Horn a couple weeks ago, and it was a Zoom meeting. And it doesn't seem like they're gonna have a hunt. Something bad has to happen before they even think about it.
I had the same discussion with her.
Yeah.
In person.
So the blood's gonna be in somebody's hand, and some kid at the bus stop for his little peanut butter and jelly sandwich is gonna get mauled or whatever before they have a bear hunt.
Okay, Can we, oh, go ahead.
Chris Johnson from Colbrook, we've got the same problem with bears. It's unbelievable. We've got one resident whose garage, they've actually broken the locks that lifted the door. And we've got Paul Rigo coming out Friday night to give a seminar presentation on bears. But when you look at the number of bear reports that gets reported to DEP in Colbrook, it's very low because every day you'll see 3 or 4 bears. It's just like there's another bear. And there's 2 bears in town that have had 4 cubs each. And you see them every single day. I put my trash out. I keep it in the garage. I took it out to the curb. Before I got back to the garage, the bear had come across the street. And grabbed the bear.
Hiding in a tree.
Yeah, and you know, it's just, what do you do?
You can thank me later.
And you can't shoot them.
Hey, Chris, that's one thing Maria said was there's not enough reporting. If we want a bear hunt, we got to report all these damages.
Yeah, and Annie Hornish isn't any help either. She's a great animal lover.
Doug Thompson from Burlington. I've got something that might be of interest to people. The environment is pretty lucrative. We just purchased our first tranche of treasury notes yesterday. Generating our first tranche is going to generate $207,000 annually in interest compared to our budget of $20,000. Right now, the banks are still not offering much in the realm of interest. We're going to continue to look at these as our tax funds roll in and ladder some treasury notes. And we're looking at a potential of $500,000 in interest for the coming year, utilizing the reserve accounts and laddering the funds as they come in. So I don't know if others have taken advantage of the increase in interest rates recently, but something that you might want to consider.
Good suggestion. Any other comments? Can we move on to letters of support for the Small Town Economic Assistance Program?
Any other comments on mine or? Yeah, no, I don't see anything. Yeah, this was a request to place on the agenda. These steep grants are actually due August 15th, I believe. And for anybody who's not familiar with steep grants, it's for capital projects, small town economic assistance program for capital projects. It's competitive. I think there's 30 million set aside this time around. And I'm not sure how many towns might be interested in submitting steep grants. I don't think it's required that the COG endorse it, but it certainly can't help. So we're offering our assistance in endorsing any steep grants that you might be putting forth to submit to that program. And that this agenda item is basically hopefully an authorization to give us the authority to issue those support letters out as
I'll
they
make that motion.
I'll second.
All those, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion is approved.
And one question, Rob, how do you want to handle it? Do you want just a paragraph describing the town's project and then you'll flesh out a letter? Or
Yeah, that would be helpful, or even, if you have a form letter that you want to submit to us, we'll just make the adjustments necessary. Whatever is the easiest. I mean, for us, the easiest thing would be a form letter, but just describe the project and we'll make the necessary modifications, but we'll do whatever we can.
Okay, can we move on to the administrative items? Bob, you want to handle this?
Sure. Well, the minutes, if anybody's reviewed the minutes, those are up for approval. I think we're getting more fine-tuned at spellings and names and towns and things of that nature. So I think we're okay unless you find anything that you want to have corrected.
Somebody move that we approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Who made the second?
Jean,
Jean? Okay, Jean, all right, thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Abstain.
Okay, one abstention. Motion
Was
is
it
approved.
Burlington? Who abstained? Burlington?
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Harwinton's abstaining too.
Okay, so we have two abstentions. Financial statements for May, that is to be provided.
Yeah, and that actually, that was to be provided today, unfortunately, but we don't have it ready. We are going through our kind of close period now, in preparation for our audit. So, we do need some more time to produce those. And so I'm proposing is that in September, we'll have the last 2
So
months.
I propose, that I move that we table this item until the next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. All right, let's, the last thing on our agenda is to go into executive session.
So we just need a motion, second, and then who's invited.
Yeah.
So move.
I'll second.
All right, and the motion is that this is only for the first selectman to attend this meeting
In,
and town manager
yeah, legal counsel
and legal counsel.
and then NHCOG staff.
Right. That's great.
Do we have legal counsel on the line?
I believe we do. Let's see here, okay, so, for those who are online, you'll have to leave the meeting. We're not gonna have any business after this. We're just gonna adjourn the meeting. So at this point, I don't see any reason for online. If you're not gonna be, if you're not a chief elected official,
Right.
then we'll see you at the next meeting. Let me just make sure I got everybody.
This is Jeff Senkowitz. The attorney for Kent. Am I supposed to be in this executive session?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we have everybody here. Okay, and I just confirmed that everybody that I see online is a chief elected official in the region or legal counsel for the executive session. So we're good.
Thanks, Rob. Hi, everybody. I asked Rob to have Jeff Senkowitz join us to give you all an update on the Scotticook Indian Tribe application. So they have they submitted an application for federal acknowledgement. And Jeff,
Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
we should make a motion to come out of executive session for.
We don't need a motion for that.
Oh, we don't. Okay. It's
Or
been a
you-
little murky on that.
Minutes should reflect as you came out of executive session, no motions were taken during the executive session
No action, no votes were taken.
and no actual votes were taken.
Yeah.
But you don't need a motion to come out.
Okay, so, do we have a motion? We have a motion from Don to adjourn the meeting and a second from Greg LaCava. All those in favor, say aye. We're okay. Meeting is adjourned.
Before you leave.
Have a good day, everybody online.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
and-
Tom, I want to thank you and Denise Rapp for giving me the biggest case of apoplecsis I've ever had. I read the paper of no insurance on.
On our beach.
And I went and the next Monday morning, I go to town hall and I'm looking at our insurance policy. I don't see any mention at all about town pine. Oh my God.
Location.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Tom and I had a lot of fun over the last couple
Yeah.
months.
It turns out we weren't sure, but it all came down to who employed the light bulbs.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any issues? We've got.
Okay, I'm gonna, goodbye, everybody online.
I thought you'd already